just for the Caribbean but other areas in the world as well. We firmly believe it is an unjust tax, and also the Caribbean, we all know, is disproportionately affected compared to other destinations, and obviously Hawaii is the prime example that is given, that is in a lower tax band. It is so much further away than the Caribbean. So really, we work very hard to lobby against APD, and we do that in a variety of forums. We work with other airlines on this, so whilst we work with other competitor airlines in the UK to lobby as hard as we can, and to come up with counter proposals and recommendations about how APD should be adjusted to make it a fairer tax on flying. And also we work with the authorities and support the governments in the Caribbean and with their lobbying activities as well. So I think clearly APD is a big challenge, and it is something that we long to see change, and we will work passionately to actually get the changes done. But I think in terms of how easy that's going to be, clearly the economic situation in the UK means that any time you're asking the government to lower the direct tax that they're going to be receiving is going to be a challenge, and you have to work very hard to prove that actually in lowering that tax there is actually going to be big advantages for the UK economy in a broader context. So in terms of how do we bring the FITFOO principles in there, we continue to lobby as hard as we can, which is battling for the consumer, to really make sure that aviation is affordable and available to all.
How proud we are of this aircraft. It's such a great opportunity for Barbados. It's absolutely the right aircraft, and it gives us the flexibility to really make sure that we're putting the right capacity into Barbados, and hence why you're going to see that adjustment between the aircraft that we have flying here in the summer season, where we have the A330 coming in 6 times a week, and the 747 once a week from Gatwick and once a week from Manchester. And it gives us that ability to change it for the winter when the demand is higher here, and have more more 747 aircraft coming in during the winter, to make sure that we're putting the right demand into the Barbados at the time when passengers are really demanding.
Well, I think obviously we've got our little red services now in the UK, which is our domestic network. So we fly to Manchester, Aberdeen, and Edinburgh from Heathrow, multiple times a day now, and that's a fantastic development, for Virgin Atlantic feeding our long-haul services. The opportunity it gives us, actually, as far as the rest of the world is concerned, does mean that actually we can have passengers feeding in from the likes of Hong Kong, Dubai, India, Mumbai or Delhi, wherever, sort of Far East Africa, feeding into our Heathrow services, picking up the connection up to Manchester, and easily transferring onto our Manchester service. And that means that they don't have the complication of dealing with their baggage, at the airport and things like that. So that gives us an opportunity to open up other parts of the world.
It's just really become, for many people, a bit of a chore. Yeah? It's about getting from here to there, from A to B. And more people are traveling for more and more reasons. At the end of 2012, we have some figures to suggest that over 1 billion people were on track to have flown. And that's 1 billion people who sort of share that experience, that flying, as exciting as it can be, has really become a means of transport for many of them. Yeah? And if we think about it, and we think about how people feel about flying, and how, the kind of attitudes that sometimes you have, it's kind of shared in that little comedy club, which of course is making, light of a fact that many of us feel on the inside. And what we really want to highlight today is the fact that the reason Virgin exists is to really add that extra, to put that extra layer on flying, to make it a little more than what you consider to be ordinary. Right? So that flying on Virgin should always be a little more magical, a little more exciting, just a little better, a little more above what you expect. And when we think about it, I don't know if you can remember when you were a kid, and when you first went on an airplane for the very first time. I was talking yesterday and saying that the first time I actually stepped onto the runway, I don't know if actually that's called the runway, the tarmac. It was the area I'm allowed to step on. And looked up and saw a 747 for the first time. It's just being in awe at this aircraft. I mean, so many of us, even from young kids, you know, we have this obsession with planes. And somewhere along the line, as we get older and older, sort of loses the magic. For us at Virgin, it's not enough to just get you from here to there. That magic is an important part of our reason for this. If you've ever flown on a Virgin flight, you probably understand what this feels like. You know that there's something extra that that crew gives to just make this flight beyond getting from here. Put a lot of pressure on us, right, at Virgin, because we have to live that magic. Yeah? But we challenge ourselves, and we use that little word, you notice this little word, FITFOO. We use that word internally to challenge ourselves to make sure, is it FITFOO? How can we apply the FITFOO principles? And while that may seem like a, like a nice ad, and it's very exciting, and our whole campaign has been based on this mantra of flying in the face of ordinary, I want to tell you that it didn't come from an advertising studio. Of course, the advertising studio created the story and made it look, made it easy to communicate and exciting. But it really came from, I mean, if you want to, socialize a little bit, have a drink, enjoy some of the champagne and the upper class service, what we have is a futuristic on-board bar, which is separate from the cabin. So in the 747, it was sort of in the cabin. Here, it's separate, so that, if you're chatting or you're enjoying drinks a little exuberantly, you're not disturbing any customers who do want to sleep. Yeah? Very exciting, you notice this isn't the upper class seat. What we do have here, we want to highlight the entertainment system, which, I tell you, I was on a flight back from the UK in January, and I was looking at a movie, and just when I was getting into the movie, I think it was Prometheus. Just getting there, I couldn't figure out what was going on. The crew announced that I had to turn off the entertainment system to prepare for landing. And I had about 45 minutes to go, and after 8.5-hour flight, you would think that I'm anxious to get home, but I would have loved the pilot to circle a few times so I could finish my movie. We can't move on without talking about the bed. The bed actually was driven by customer research. So this sort of seat actually basically unfolds into a full flat bed, 7 foot 2 inches long. It's the longest of any bed in the business class. And it really, when I think about flying, I know some people say, oh boy, I have to get a good night's sleep before I go on a plane. Right? This bed almost encourages you to not get a good night's sleep so you can look forward to sleeping on the plane. But then you have a challenge, because you have the choice between sleeping or watching a movie from our entertainment system. So you just want to make sure that if you do choose to sleep, we make sure that we have the most comfortable bed for you to actually have that happen. Yeah? If you choose to actually stay up and watch a movie or do some work, we have a comfortable leather seat. It reclines 50% more than the old seat, and it's about 1.5 inches wider.